Oscars. A closer look at the results that were overshadowed by the Best Picture confusion. THR's awards columnist tries to make sense of the actual results, including what's behind one of the biggest upsets in Oscar history. It's early Monday morning, and I'm finally back at my desk and starting to process what I witnessed only a few hours ago. But one thing's for sure, Bonnie and Clyde ended better for Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway than the 89th Oscars did. When the two Hollywood legends took the stage to present Best Picture, something that I reported was going to take place, and Dunaway shouted the name La La Land, the storyline for the evening seemed like it couldn't be more positive for the Academy. Jimmy Kimmel, who ABC had persuaded the organization and Oscars producers Michael DeLuca and Jennifer Todd to hire as host, had asked his job, evoking laughs in a cool manner reminiscent of Bob Hope. While the Academy had to contend with the Oscars so white controversy for the past 2 years, 2 of the 4 acting Oscars went to black performers. Moonlight's Mahershala Ali and Fence's Viola Davis, and Moonlight's black screenwriters, Barry Jenkins and Tarell. Alvin McCraney won Best Adapted Screenplay. And La La Land, an original musical that celebrates Hollywood's artists and dreamers, which had been recognized with a record-tying 14 Oscar nominations and 6 other Oscars, had just won Best Picture. Until it didn't. What we witnessed on Sunday night was the greatest debacle in the history of the Academy Awards. Sure, other mistakes of this kind have happened before. In 1933, Will Rogers opened the Best Director envelope and said, "Come up and get it, Frank," and Lady for a Days Frank Capra jumped out of his seat and was halfway to the stage before he realized that the winner was, in fact, Cavalcade's Frank Lloyd. And in 1964, Sammy Davis Jr., who was to present 2 music-related awards, accidentally was handed the envelope for the second before the first, resulting in him announcing a winner who wasn't even nominated in the first category. But this was Best Picture, the biggest award of the night, and the mistakes that led up to what happened during the final minutes of the show are simply astonishing. Mistake number 1. An employee of PricewaterhouseCoopers, the world-renowned accounting firm that has coordinated Oscar balloting for the Academy ever since 1935, apparently handed Beatty and Dunaway the wrong envelope. PwC keeps a second copy of each envelope just offstage in case the first is misplaced, and their employee apparently handed Beatty and Dunaway the second envelope for Best Actress, rather than either of the 2 for Best Picture. Mistake number 2, Beatty opened the envelope, looked at it, knew something was wrong, and then passed it to Dunaway to read, rather than calling for assistance. Neither of them apparently thought there was anything weird about seeing the name Emma Stone, rather than that of producers, alongside La La Land on a Best Picture ballot. Mistake number 3, before the accountants notified anyone else and someone took action, there was enough time for the entire principal cast and crew of La La Land to get from their seats to the stage. 2 producers delivered acceptance speeches and a third was about to follow. By the time the mistake was corrected, it undoubtedly caused embarrassment and humiliation for Team La La Land, although they comported themselves with real class, particularly producer Jordan Horowitz, who calmly and graciously revealed the mistake to the world. The way he took control of the situation in the middle of pandemonium, as good producers tend to do, will be taught in schools. Because of all this chaos, few have taken the time to dissect the award result itself, so let's do that. It is nothing short of incredible that the top Oscar went to Moonlight, which was made for just $1.5 million, less than any other Best Picture winner, at least since 1976's Rocky, which cost a reported $1.1 million in its day. It has grossed the least of this year's 9 Best Picture Oscar nominees. just $22.3 million domestically, and less than every other Best Picture Oscar winner since The Hurt Locker, which had taken in just $14.7 million at the time of its win. Moonlight's win renders moot many of the stats to which pundits long have turned when trying to make informed predictions. La La Land had won Best Comedy, Musical Golden Globe, Critics' Choice and BAFTA awards, after leading each field in noms, as well, plus the top Directors Guild, Producers Guild and New York Film Critics Circle honors, among others, en route to the Oscars, collectively suggesting massive strength. Moonlight, meanwhile, won the Best Drama Golden Globe, the Top Spirit Award and several high-profile critics groups awards, none of which have much of a track record at predicting the Oscars. Moonlight didn't even win the one big award for which it was nominated, but La La Land wasn't, the Best Ensemble SAG Award, which instead was won by Hidden Figures. Was the Best Ensemble SAG Award a warning sign about La La Land that we didn't take seriously enough? We all knew that in the 22 years in which both the Best Ensemble SAG Award and Best Picture Oscar have coexisted, only one film was not even nominated for the former but still won the latter, Braveheart, 21 years ago. However, almost everyone, including me, assumed that La La Land's exclusion was attributable to the fact that, with all due respect to John Legend, Rosemary DeWitt, J.K. Simmons and others, it essentially is a two-hander, Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling, which doesn't exactly scream ensemble. Maybe the acting community, which also accounts for 1/6 of Academy voters, actually wasn't all that behind La La Land, after all. We'll never know. But the fact that La La Land lost half of the Oscars for which it was nominated, including in categories like Best Sound Mixing, which nominated musicals almost always win, indicated early in the evening that the film hadn't, in fact, resonated with the Academy as much as everyone had assumed based on its huge number of noms. Additionally, one can only assume that the Academy's use of a preferential ballot, which is intended to reward widespread consensus over limited passion, and which is employed at only one other awards ceremony, the Producers Guild Awards, where La La Land did win the top prize this year, played a role in Moonlight's win. Rather than soliciting a single choice for Best Picture, as with other categories, this part of the ballot invites up to 5 choices, ranked in order of preference, and then works backwards to determine which film appeared the highest, not just at number 1, on the greatest number of ballots. The Academy began employing this approach 7 years ago for the first Oscars in 66 years, at which more than 5 films could compete for Best Picture, and in 4 of those years, including this one, voters awarded Best Director to a filmmaker other than the one who made the film to which they awarded Best Picture. This suggests to me that, for better or worse, the preferential ballot is having a substantial impact on the results in the Best Picture category. But, of course, I cannot prove that. What I can say with confidence is that La La Land and Moonlight, both of which had their North American unveiling over Labor Day weekend at the Telluride Film Festival, to the great credit of Julie Huntsinger and her colleagues in the Rockies, are films for the ages that deserved better than what they got at the end of Sunday's ceremony. Even if Moonlight's Best Picture win had been announced cleanly, it still would have provoked massive gasps in the room, as it represents one of the biggest upsets in Oscars history, probably the biggest upset since Crash toppled Brokeback Mountain. But because of the way it was presented, Team La La Land was made to feel like losers, with nobody much interested in talking about its field-leading 6 Oscars. And Team Moonlight ended up feeling like it got sloppy seconds, never really getting to experience its Cinderella moment in the way it deserved to. If I were handling public relations for the Academy, a job I do not envy right now, I would try my best to deflect attention to the many nice things that happened on Sunday. The directors of three of the most respected Best Picture Oscar nominees, Moonlight's Jenkins, La La Land's Damien Chazelle and Manchester by the Sea's Kenneth Lonergan, each got to take home an Oscar. Justin Hurwitz, the soft-spoken genius who composed La La Land's scores and wrote the music to its two nominated songs, took home 2 Oscars. Stone, Mahershala Ali, and Viola Davis, 3 performers beloved and respected within the Hollywood community for their work on and off-screen, all took home Oscars, while voters, to their credit, were not swayed by the past controversy that had surrounded Casey Affleck. And last but not least, Kevin O'Connell, a brilliant sound mixer who has accumulated 21 nominations over the last 33 years, finally was recognized with his first win, meaning someone else now becomes the most nominated man in history without an Oscar to his or